This is in response to Miss Maxie 74. I had to re-record this. For some reason it didn't have the video and audio lined up and it cut off the end. I just can't have that happening. Well, let me take some of your points, sweetie, one at a time. You say if you had a choice, you wouldn't work at all. Now, see, this is the problem with this country. There's a lot of folks out there who wouldn't work if they had a choice. So, you're not going to work. Who's going to pay for your food and your clothing and your housing or that weave you're toting on that empty head of yours? You say your ancestors in Africa didn't have to work a 9 to 5 job or pay rent for their house, that they built their own houses. Well, this is true, because back then surviving was a full-time job. They just didn't run down to the hut depot and pick up a barrel of mud and a few sheaves of grass to make their little mud hut. They had to go out and get the material themselves, and that was between finding food, hauling water, and defending themselves from hostile neighbors and wild animals, and that was just before breakfast. Of course, you have to work, because money does make the world go round. You want to go back to bartering? How many chickens would a car cost you anyway? Why not try paying off the debt you have through barter? What exactly do you have to trade with your debtors that they would take? Keep in mind, they then have to trade what you give them with someone else to pay off their debts, so make it something useful. So, this capitalistic system is in place to rip your ass off. Let's look at the alternative, which I've already mentioned, barter. So how do you accumulate enough chickens to pay for school? How many bushels of corn would it take to go see a movie? How many pigs would a vacation cost? And what are you going to barter with at the grocer's? And nobody said you had to have a car either. Besides, you'd probably need a semi to move all your chickens, pigs, and produce when you go to the mall so you can get your nails done and your weave re-wove so you look good at the nightclub later. But then, how good are you going to look at the club when you walk up there holding a chicken so you can get through the door and leading a pig or two so you can get your drink on, huh? Capitalism is a ripoff, huh? The system that has allowed the greatest expansion of wealth to the largest number of people ever is a ripoff. The only successful system of reward to merit the world has ever seen is a ripoff. As opposed to what? The sit-on-your-ass welfare states in Europe, which are all failing, by the way. I'm sure you feel ripped off. I'm certain you feel it's your right to sit on your ass and not work while letting other people do all the hard work of growing your food, getting the materials to build your house and car, sucking the oil out of the ground and refining it so your car can go places, and create the stuff that needs to be made so that you can have what you want to have in your life. But you know what? It's not your right. You know what else? About your comment that water should be free. Sure. You want free water? Feel free. Hump your ass down to the nearest lake or stream and tote it back and use it. Go on. Nobody's stopping you. But for safe water to reach your home, someone has to get the water. Someone has to make sure it's safe and then create and maintain a system to get that water to you. So how many chickens a month will you need to get that done? And what happens when the water company says, we can't take chickens anymore because nobody's accepting them as payment because, well, everybody's got chickens. So until further notice, we are only taking goats. What happens then? You go thirsty. Unless, of course, you go trade chickens to the goat guy for water. See how that works? Nobody told you to take out loans either for your education, your house, your car, or anything else. You could have saved up the money for them, or gone without, or maybe raised enough chickens to pay for them. But you didn't. You took those loans out. They need to be paid back. And on why do you have to pay rent? Well, somebody spent their money to build the house you live in. It didn't just appear there, sweetie. And when somebody spends their money, that's called investing, by the way, to build something useful, they need to recoup their costs and make a profit so they can do it again. That's called capitalism, and it's not a ripoff. A ripoff is socialism. By the way, you'd have to work in a socialist country too, but you'd be working for those who weren't working. Or maybe you wouldn't work in a socialist country, and if it was a country full of people like you, where nobody worked unless they wanted to, who's going to pay for your stuff? And as for your comment that land is supposed to be free, who says where you can live if land is free? If land is free and you build a house, what's to stop someone who's bigger, stronger, or meaner from letting you build that house on some of that free land and then taking it from you? If you don't own the land, you can't say who can and can't be on it. So, sure, let's make the land free. And when it is, and you get a house built, let me know. Because I'm going to come kick your ass out and live there. See, your ancestors didn't have to pay for land because they didn't own the land. They didn't have the concept. And when someone came along, like Eddie Izzard says, with a flag, they stuck the flag in the ground and claimed the unowned land for their country. Then they started charging rent. See how that works? It's a cool system. As for electricity in ancient Africa, yeah, they had it. And it was free. It still is, in fact. It's called lightning. And I'm sure nobody ever paid a dime, or in this case, a rabbit pelt, to be struck by it. So I'll tell you what, sweetie, since you want to move to Africa so badly, we'll take up a collection for a one-way ticket. You just need to realize you're going to have to work there too. Oh, and you have to promise to never come back. See, your grasp of reality is so sorely lacking that there is almost no point in me saying all of this to you, because I doubt you possess the cognitive ability to conceive of the advances made from this rip-off system in this mentally unstable country in which you reside. And I have saved the mentally unstable comment for last. You see, the mentally unstable part of America are those who believe we can spend our way to prosperity, that we can make the poor rich by making the rich poor, and that the outcome of equal misery is preferable to the unequal outcomes that come with equal opportunity, liberty, and justice for all. God bless, and pass the ammo.